Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Now I do like to keep up with the Steam hardware survey. It gives us a good idea of who is using what hardware. For example, in terms of graphics cards, we have things like the RTX 3060 at the top, the 4060 is up there as well, the GTX 1650 4GB is up there, surprisingly, but it is a pretty cheap card that will support all of the latest games. At the bottom of the chart we have things like the GT 710, the 4090 laptop GPU, and this is also split into subcategories as well. So we have all graphics cards, DX11 cards and DX12 cards. At the bottom of the DX12 list we have the poor old GTX 960. Now this was a mid-range card once upon a time, came in a 2 or 4 gigabyte version. It's nice to see 0.3% of gamers still using one of these old beasts. That gave me the idea of seeing how well it would run the most popular game on Steam. Now of course the Steam hardware survey isn't representative of all PC gamers, but I couldn't help but wonder if this old thing could handle Counter-Strike 2, a game that still hits over 1 million players daily. So let's get into it and we'll start off with the card in my modern system. Okay, so here we are, Counter-Strike 2, 1080p, 60Hz here. If we jump into the advanced video, basically everything is at its respective lowest. Now this game actually defaulted to the medium settings with 2x MSAA, but I think that's going to be a bit much for our 2GB GTX 960. FSR also defaults to balanced mode, but I've turned this off. This is a really old version of FSR from what I recall, so as you make your way down through the presets you can definitely tell that we've got it enabled even with the quality mode here as well, even with the ultra quality mode. I think it uses FSR 1, so we're going to leave that off. Hopefully we won't need it, but let's jump into a game, see what our 2GB GTX 960 can do. You can pick these up for pretty cheap these days. Okay, so I have actually repasted this little Zotac card and it is now running at under 65 degrees. Didn't take long for me to get wiped out there, did it? Now a lot of you think I'm terrible at CS2, but I've been hiding a bit of a secret. You see, I'm not just terrible at CS2. I am absolutely terrible at CS2. Yeah, I'm no professional, that's for sure. I haven't seemed to have got any better at CS2 or CSGO for that matter. When I used to benchmark CSGO, I mean I was benchmarking the game for absolutely ages. Same with CS2. I don't know what it is, whether it's my reaction times or what, but I just cannot seem to get the hang of this one. Honestly, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Fortnite, I consider myself okay at those games. Now I'm using a really cheap keyboard and mouse, and that could possibly be why. I mean, the mouse I'm using is like some wireless £5 office mouse that I've had for ages, and the keyboard, well, the same for the keyboard. It's a wireless Logitech keyboard, cost me about the same. But we should focus on the performance probably, because I'm actually quite surprised. I do have the 960 paired with an i7-12700F, so it's not exactly a weak CPU. CS2 is definitely more intensive than its predecessor. Get him, there we go. 2 in a row. Oh, so much for that streak. CS2 is definitely more GPU intensive than its predecessor, CSGO. And I think that's visible with the metrics, not just here, but across a lot of tests as well. The GTX 260, yeah, as if the GTX 962 gigabyte here is doing okay. We're consuming less than 100 watts with this card. In terms of VRAM, we're looking at between 1 and 2 gigs, so yeah, all is well. We've also tested this game in the past with the minimum system requirements and found that it worked surprisingly well, albeit with a few dips and drops. I don't even want to look at the scoreboard. Come back, yes, there we go. Oh, every time that happens. I am going to finish the rest of this game and then bump the settings up to medium. We'll leave MSAA off because I don't really think it's necessary for an online fast competitive shooter such as this. I think it's best left off with all system configurations, to be honest, but here we go. Let's wait for someone to peek around that corner. No, I'm just going to get wiped out from behind, aren't I, to be honest. Let's see if we can get a bit of sniping action going. Oh, lucky escape there for you. Well, probably for me, actually, because we all know how that would have ended. But yeah, 962 gig, considering you can pick these cards up for pretty cheap, you can definitely play the most played game on Steam comfortably with a decent frame rate. If you want me to, I will have a look at all of the, let's say, top 5, top 10 Steam games with this card and see how well it handles it. But so far, so good. I'll just finish this game and then move up to the medium settings. Ooh. Whoa, sneak attack. I saw you over there. I see you. Pop, come out, wherever you are. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, we'll leave this here for now. I then switched to medium, and there wasn't too much of a difference between the medium preset and the lowest settings, so this is probably a decent place to be. Performance was very similar, as you can see by the on-screen metrics, and everything felt very consistent. The 1.1% lows seemed okay. High settings was where we started to see things drop a bit. Now, with all the presets, I've turned off MSAA as well as FSR upscaling. This is native resolution. To be honest, the 960 is doing better than I anticipated, not just here with the high preset, but with the other presets that we've tested so far as well. Interestingly, the 960 will also run the game at very high settings at 1080p resolution, again with FSR and MSAA off. I wouldn't recommend this preset. In fact, because of the performance I've seen so far today, I'd recommend medium, because you can turn things up to medium without sacrificing too much FPS wise over the lowest options, and the game will look a little better for it. I don't think graphical settings are too important, considering this is an online first person fast paced title, but there we are. It is entirely up to you, of course, but medium is where I would choose to be in terms of the visual settings. Okay, I then thought, why don't we switch to an older CPU? So here we are with my i5-8400 in the machine. This is a 6-core, 6-thread chip from a good few years ago. I've got it paired with 16 gigs of 2666 MHz DDR4 this time around, and of course we have the good old 2 gig 960 still in the system. I've stuck with the settings that I recommended for this card, and that is medium with Fidelity FX Super Resolution disabled, as well as multi-sampling anti-aliasing mode disabled too. So medium settings with everything else, or the medium preset, and we're going to see if this combination can still hit a respectable frame rate. So it will give us a good idea of whether or not an older CPU like this is a limitation with this card. Okay, so brace yourselves for another round of shocking CS2 performance, just like that. Now, as you can see, the CPU utilization this time around is a bit more all over the place. We're going from between 60 to 99, sometimes even 100% utilization with the i5-8400. That said, the GTX 960, 2 in a row, look at that, is still the limitation here. Pretty much pegged at 99% all of the time, hitting that maximum clock speed as well. And in terms of our frame rate, I will have the exact figures up on screen. No way, 4 in a row. Oh. In terms of performance though, as I said, the metrics will be up on screen as always. I imagine the 1.1% lows won't be as smooth as they were with the i7-12700F, but this is definitely a more realistic pairing. I've seen this i5-8400 go for around £20, maybe even less here in the UK. That market is going to depend on where you live, of course, but in terms of hitting at least 60 frames per second in CS2 in pairing with the 960, the Steam Hardware Survey's most unpopular DX12 GPU, well, it's going to do a respectable job. Now, I apologise if you can hear some fans revving up to full speed in the background. That is not the 960 or the 8400 stock fan. That is actually the laptop I'm recording the gameplay with. It has been running for at least 2 minutes, so of course the fans have ramped up to full speed. Seems to be the standard with gaming laptops, of course, but get down, there we go. And you, no, too good to be true. I don't want to push my luck. I've already had a 4 kill streak. I mean, nothing like that's going to ever happen again, is it? Let's be honest here. I've actually switched to the lowest settings now. Just like with medium, we are getting a respectable frame rate, of course, but I felt that with this combination, dropping back down to the lowest visual quality makes the most sense. Our average is probably going to be a little higher, but I believe we'll probably still see a few dips and drops in terms of the percentile lows, which of course will be up on screen for you to see. This definitely feels a bit smoother overall, though it is nice to see CS2 running well on such an old combination. I did say that the GTX 960 was the main limitation a lot of the time, but actually, if we look at the stats on the center left of the screen, There are times when the utilization drops to the low 90s, high 80s, so in some instances the CPU does become the limitation. But there we are, CS2 on the most unpopular DX12 GPU at the time of recording. I was looking forward to trying this out because I didn't think it would run as well as it has done, but there we go. If you've got a more modern CPU, it's going to be smoother. If you've got an older CPU, you'll still get a pretty good average, I imagine, but you may face a few problems. I'm so sorry, Mr. Chicken. I did not mean to do that. You may face a few problems with consistency, but I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much for watching. Before my gameplay gets too embarrassing, I'm going to stop. Hopefully, I'll see you all in the next one. Let's end this video with a kill. Okay? Or not. Let's end this video with a kill. No, come on. Right, come on. Where are you? Where are you? Wait for him to pop round that corner. Hello? Hello? Are you hiding from? Come on. Yes. Oh, no. We're done. Thank you. I'll see you next time.